Single-use plates, cutlery, containers have all been banned across England, but plastic bottles have not, and doesn't look like there's any plans to do that.
No, a new research for Good Morning Britain shows that 13.5 billion plastic soft drink bottles will be sold in the UK next year. That's 37 million plastic bottles every day, which, if laid out, would go up and down Great Britain almost 8 times. And this is some of the rubbish that has been collected from Britain's beaches by the organisation Beach Guardian in Cornwall. A whole load of plastic there. Our reporter Michelle Morrison has gone to Padstow to have a look at some of the litter picked up from the shoreline. Michelle, where are you and how many bottles have you collected?
Well, quite simply, I'm in a pile of rubbish, but it's an important pile of rubbish, isn't it? Because look at this. These bags are filled to the brim with plastic that has been collected by beach volunteers over the years. And they were talking to me yesterday about the problem with plastic bottles. Many of them that we found on the beach are actually broken up into tiny fragments, not whole bottles anymore. But then some of them that are actually washed up onto the shoreline are whole bottles, but from elsewhere. This one has Chinese writing on it. This one has French writing on it. And that's because when they've got the lids on, bottles will just travel far. And I spoke to those volunteers about how important it was for them to keep their beaches clean.
Little sharp bits of plastic that, the kids stand on. It's a big problem, and, if you're going to take something to the beach, just take it home with you. It's not a big deal.
Every time we do a beach clean, we will find plastic bottle lids particularly, and a lot are now broken up plastic.
I feel really sad because it can hurt the animals, and animals are dying, and that's why they're getting extinct. I just think about picking them up is just really good for the planet.
Now I've moved in here to this polytunnel where lots of the plastic is sorted out once it's been collected from the beach. As you can see, lots of different plastics within here, but over here, this lot has been sorted out. Lots of plastic bottles, plastic lids, which actually are a real problem because they don't break down over time. They're really sturdy stuff. Rob, you've also got a rather nifty piece of equipment, don't you?
We have,
which
so
does
plastic
what?
Bottles and other items we can test with the plastic scanner. And this shows us that actually all these plastic bottles could have and should have been recycled. Now,
just one last question, because I know a lot of people will be asking. We are standing in a polytunnel talking about plastic. What would you say to any criticism level towards you about that?
Well, as a community interest company, we're reliant on the generosity of people donating things to us, and we were very fortunate that the Garden Centre gave us this polytunnel. It is plastic, but it will last for decades. It will be recycled at the end of its use, and it's enabled us to engage with hundreds, if not thousands, of people through the work and the research that we do here.
There you go. So teaching the younger generation in here about the real problems with plastic.
All right, Michelle, thanks very much indeed. Let's speak to the co-founder of Beach Guardian, marine biologist Emily Stevenson. I think that's your dad.
That is my dad,
That's
yes.
right. So it's a family enterprise. You've got some items that you have found on the beaches. Now, we talk about the fact that plastic doesn't break down and degrade. I was astonished to find out how old the food packets that you have found on beaches actually are.
Absolutely. I mean, these resources are shocking because they show the exact threat of plastic pollution. This sweet wrapper here is from the 1960s. You can see on there 6D. That means this is pre-decimalisation, pre-1971. Whatever packets get littered today will still be here when my grandchildren have grandchildren and their grandchildren have grandchildren. They do not break down. They're breaking up and leaving fragments of plastic in the environment.
That's remarkable. So
it was quite revolutionary back then, ready salted.
Yes, good point.
Very new at the time.
Yeah.
Until then, it was just a little packet of salt. 50
or 60 years these items have lasted. Look, what is the issue that we can fix here? We know that this ban came in on plates and balloon sticks and plastic containers yesterday, but it looks, from Michelle Morrison's research for this programme, it looks like bottles are the biggest culprit, particularly the bottle tops. I didn't know that they take even longer to break down. If we put in a ban on plastic bottles, what would that force us to do?
Well, I think what's worth saying is that at Beach Guardian, we very much welcome the ban that has just come into force, because we have seen that these bans do work. With the plastic straws, we very rarely find them on our beach cleans now. With a ban on plastic bottles, we would see success, but there are lots of other things that we can do in the meantime whilst we wait for a ban like that to come into force. Like we have the deposit return scheme coming up, but people in their daily lives can avoid unnecessary plastics and also do a beach clean, do a litter pick, get the plastic that's in the environment out of the environment and recycled.
In the case of plastic bags, the government has put a tax and use that to try and encourage people to use plastic bags less when they go to the shops, to use bags for life. Has that worked?
Absolutely. I think the stat is we've seen a 98% reduction in the use of plastic bags here in the UK, which is absolutely astonishing. And we see this in our volunteers, you know, once you have that one small change like that, it's always a ripple effect. It's always, what can I do next? And that's the important thing. It's always
so if we went for a similar approach to plastic bottles, saying there was a deposit scheme or a tax or that you had to recycle, could we have the same success?
Absolutely, I think we could. But what I will say is that whilst we're putting the emphasis on plastic bottles here, it's not just a plastic bottle we need to be worried about. You have to think of the before and the after. A plastic bottle is made up of pre-production pellets, microplastics. It takes 600 microplastics to make one plastic bottle. So we have to think about microplastics at the start, and ultimately those plastic bottles will break up into microplastics at the end. So we have to look at the whole life cycle of a plastic bottle.
The British Soft Drinks Association represents Coca-Cola, Britvic, has the PepsiCo franchise in the UK. All plastic bottles produced by British soft drinks manufacturers are 100% recyclable. And they are urging the government to press ahead with introducing a GB-wide deposit return scheme for all plastic and can beverage containers. As our assessment, says the British Soft Drinks Association, suggests this is the best way to increase recycling levels and tackle litter. Now, and you've already said that a deposit return scheme would be very effective. Talking about the crisp packets, you wore a crisp packet dress, didn't you, to your graduation? What progress has been made in making crisp packets which are 100% recyclable?
So once the dress was made and worn and that stunt was kind of conducted, Walkers announced that by 2025, they would make 100% of their packaging recyclable, compostable or biodegradable. They're still working on that target, but in the meantime, they introduced a recycling scheme. And now, in many Tesco's and other supermarket stores across the UK, you can take your crisp packets there to be recycled in store. So we can now recycle crisp packets until the packaging is sorted out.
So we hopefully won't see as many washing up on beaches in 60 years. I feel like we need to know what in the meantime, is it the problem? I mean, Ed and I had a row about rubbish and bins, for instance.
A row?
Yes, the other week I was terribly distressed about the fact you don't want more bins on our streets, and you said we should take our rubbish home. If you put more bins on the beaches, would that help?
Look, I see arguments on both sides, OK? So without...
Do you think Susanna should have her own personal bin on the street outside her house?
I think everyone should take responsibility for their waste.
That was what I said.
But
she said it was somebody else's fault. Where's the bin?
We do need help.
Stepped into a bit of a row here. It's just reignited.
We like it. We like it on this programme. Yeah. But so more bins, better recycling facilities. You say you can take your crisp packet to a shop.
Or more personal responsibility.
Yeah. Well, is that the answer? I mean...
So, in my opinion, there's a few things that we need. Yeah. We need innovation. Top three, OK.
For individuals, not for companies.
OK.
Individuals.
Well, I can give you one.
Yeah.
And this is for all of your viewers to do today.
Yeah.
I think with conservation, everybody thinks you have to sacrifice something. To volunteer, you have to give up so much time or give up something in your life. But actually, what we see, the easiest and best thing that's accessible to everybody is to just talk about the environment. Even just writing about it online, write to your MP, just keep talking about the environment.
Okay.
It's the most accessible thing for everyone, and it does have an impact.
OK. I think more bins, and you think everyone should just have bags of rubbish that they take around the shopping centre, along the beach, and then get rid of it at home. Thank you so much. Good to see you.